There is a kind of success that makes noise before it is earned, and there is a kind that earns its voice through results. The world celebrates the noise, but history rewards the grind. If you want a life that speaks for itself, you must learn the discipline of silent work and the power of undeniable results. Success is not an event. It is a process. It is built in moments no one applauds, in hours no one sees, and in decisions no one understands. The problem is, many people want recognition before preparation. They want visibility before value. But true success does not respond to desire. It responds to discipline. The first rule is this: master your focus. Your attention is your greatest currency. Wherever your focus goes, your life follows. Your life, if your focus is scattered, your results will be weak. But when your mind is disciplined, when you train it to lock onto what matters, you become unstoppable. Focus is not natural. It is cultivated. It requires saying no to distractions, even when they feel urgent. Second rule: build in private. Seeds do not grow in public. They grow beneath the surface, in darkness, in silence. Your ideas, your goals, your vision, they require the same environment. Stop announcing what you are about to do and start becoming it. When you speak too early, you release energy that was meant for execution. Protect your process. Let your work mature before you reveal it. The third rule: develop relentless discipline. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. But discipline is a decision. It is the ability to act whether you feel like it or not. The difference between average and extraordinary is not talent. It is consistency. Doing what must be done again and again, even when it is inconvenient. The fourth rule: Measure your progress. What is not measured cannot be improved. Every day is an opportunity to move forward. But if you do not track your steps, you will not know if you are advancing or drifting. Reflection creates correction. Correction creates growth. Growth creates results. Success is not accidental. It is intentional. The fifth rule. Let results make the noise. There is a power in silence. When you stop trying to convince people and start producing evidence, everything changes. You don't have to announce success when it becomes visible. You don't have to explain growth when it becomes undeniable. Results carry a voice that no argument can defeat. Understand this. The world does not reward talk. It rewards transformation. It does not respond to intentions. It responds to execution. You cannot build a reputation on what you plan to do. You build it on what you consistently deliver. So choose the path of the silent grinder. Wake up when no one is watching. Work when no one is clapping. Improve when no one is expecting. Because one day, the same silence that hid your effort will amplify your success. And when that day comes, you won't need to speak. Your life will speak for you. Time is life. When you waste time, you waste your existence. This is not just a statement. It is a reality that governs every human being, whether they acknowledge it or not. Your life is measured not in years, but in moments. Every second that passes is a portion of your life that you will never get back. You can recover lost money, rebuild broken relationships, even restore health to some extent. But time, once gone, is gone forever. That is why how you treat your time is how you treat your life. Most people live as if time is unlimited. They delay decisions, postpone actions, and assume there will always be another opportunity. But life does not operate on assumptions. It operates on expiration. Every day you wake up, you are given a limited supply of hours. And how you spend them determines who you become. Time is the raw material of destiny. If you misuse it, you cannot expect to produce a meaningful life. When you waste time, you are not just losing minutes, you are losing potential. You are losing the book you could have written, the skill you could have mastered, the discipline you could have developed, and the life you could have built. Every idle hour is a missed investment in your future. Success is not created in leaps. It is created in moments. Small, consistent, intentional use of time compounds into greatness, while careless and unstructured use of time leads to regret. The danger of wasted time is that it often feels harmless in the moment. A few hours of distraction, a delay in starting, a habit of procrastination. It all seems insignificant. But life is not judged in isolated moments. It is judged in accumulated patterns. What you repeatedly do with your time becomes your life. If you repeatedly waste it, you will eventually waste your potential. Understanding that time is, life changes your perspective. You begin to see your day differently. You no longer treat hours casually. You assign them purpose. You become more intentional with your decisions, more disciplined with your habits, and more protective of your focus. You realize that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something meaningful. And so you begin to choose wisely. Valuing time also requires courage. It takes courage to walk away from distractions, to say no to people, to reject opportunities that do not align with your purpose. Not everything deserves your time, and not everyone deserves access to your energy. When you understand the value of time, you stop trying to please everyone and start trying to fulfill your assignment. There is also a responsibility that comes with time. You are not just managing hours. You are managing your life. What you do today shapes your tomorrow. The effort you invest now determines the opportunities you will have later. Time rewards those who respect it and punishes those who ignore it. It does not negotiate. It does not wait, and it does not return. If you truly grasp this principle, you will begin to live with urgency, not panic, but purpose. You will act on your ideas instead of just thinking about them. You will execute your plans instead of endlessly preparing. You will stop waiting for the right moment and start using the moment you have. Your life will not be defined by what you intended to do, but by what you actually did with the time you were given. Focus on purpose, not activity. Busyness is not productivity. It is possible to be constantly moving, constantly working, constantly occupied, and still be making no real progress. Activity gives the illusion of effectiveness, but only purpose produces results. Many people fill their days with tasks, meetings, conversations, and obligations. Yet, at the end of the day, they are no closer to their goals than when they started. Why? Because movement without direction is not progress. It is distraction in disguise. Purpose is what gives your time meaning. It is the reason behind your actions. The destination that determines your direction. Without purpose, you will say yes to everything because everything will seem equally important. But when you are clear about your purpose, you begin to filter your actions. You no longer ask, what can I do? You ask, what must I do? That shift changes everything. It eliminates waste, sharpens focus, and aligns your energy with what truly matters. Busyness is often celebrated in today's world. People wear it like a badge of honor, as if being overwhelmed is proof of importance. But being busy is not a sign of value. It is often a sign of misalignment. You can be busy doing things that do not contribute to your growth, your vision, or your future. You can exhaust yourself with tasks that produce no lasting impact. And the danger is, busyness can make you feel productive even when you are not. Productivity is not about how much you do. It is about how much of what you do actually matters. It is about results, not effort. It is about impact, not motion. A single hour spent on the right task can be more valuable than an entire day spent on the wrong ones. That is why clarity of purpose is essential. It tells you where to invest your time so that your efforts produce meaningful outcomes. When you focus on purpose, you begin to simplify your life. You remove the unnecessary, eliminate the trivial, and concentrate on the essential. You stop reacting to every demand and start acting with intention. Instead of being driven by urgency, you are guided by importance. This requires discipline, because not everything that demands your attention deserves it. You must learn to evaluate your activities. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goal? Does this develop my potential? Does this align with the vision I have for my life? If the answer is no, then no matter how urgent or appealing it seems, it is a distraction. Purpose gives you the power to say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. Timo, there is also a difference between motion and progress. Motion is doing things. Progress is achieving results. Motion can be comfortable because it keeps you occupied. But progress requires focus, effort, and often discomfort. It demands that you concentrate on fewer things, but execute them at a higher level. It forces you to confront what truly matters, instead of hiding behind endless activity. When you live with purpose, your energy becomes more effective. You are not scattered. You are concentrated. You are not overwhelmed. You are directed. Your actions begin to produce results that speak because they are rooted in intention rather than impulse. Your life will not be measured by how busy you were, but by what you accomplished. Not by how much you did, but by how much of what you did actually mattered. Prioritize the essential. Eliminate the unnecessary. For this principle is the dividing line between a life of clarity and a life of confusion. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your attention. Not everything available to you is assigned to you. The challenge is not lack of opportunity. It is lack of discernment. When you fail to identify what truly matters, you end up giving equal energy to things that produce results and things that only consume time. The essential represents what directly contributes to your purpose, your growth, and your desired outcomes. It is the small number of things that carry the greatest weight in your life. But the unnecessary is always louder. It comes disguised as urgency, as obligation, as expectation from others. It pulls on your time, fragments your focus, and drains your energy. If you are not intentional, the unnecessary will dominate your day and leave you with nothing meaningful accomplished. Prioritization requires clarity. You must know what you are trying to achieve before you can decide what deserves your time. Without a clear direction, everything feels important. But when your vision is defined, your decisions become easier. You begin to see that some activities move you forward, while others simply keep you occupied. And once you recognize that difference, you gain the power to choose wisely. Eliminating the unnecessary is not always comfortable. It often means saying no to people, stepping away from habits, and letting go of activities that once felt productive but no longer serve your purpose. Timo, it requires courage to cut off what is familiar in order to make room for what is meaningful. But every unnecessary commitment you hold on to is taking space that could be used for something essential. Your time and energy are limited resources. You cannot give your best to everything, so you must decide where your best belongs. When you spread yourself too thin, even important tasks suffer. But when you concentrate your efforts on what truly matters, your effectiveness increases. Focus creates strength. Scattered effort creates weakness. There is also a principle of multiplication at work here. The essential tasks are often the ones that produce the greatest return over time. They build momentum, create opportunities, and lead to long-term results. The unnecessary, on the other hand, rarely produces anything of lasting value. It may provide temporary satisfaction, but it does not contribute to meaningful progress. You must learn to evaluate everything that enters your life. Ask yourself whether it aligns with your purpose, whether it contributes to your growth whether it brings you closer to your goals. If it does not, then it is a distraction. No matter how attractive or urgent it may seem. Discipline is the ability to make that distinction and act on it consistently. When you prioritize the essential, your life becomes more focused, more intentional, and more productive. You stop reacting to every demand and start directing your own path. You become less overwhelmed because you are no longer trying to do everything. Instead, you are committed to doing the right things. Success is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters most with consistency and excellence. Discipline your schedule or distractions will control it. Time does not organize itself, and life does not naturally fall into order. If you do not take authority over your day will take authority over you. Every hour that is not assigned a purpose becomes available for interruption. And every unplanned moment becomes an opportunity for distraction to enter. What you fail to structure, something else will occupy. A disciplined schedule is not about rigidity. It is about intentional living. It is the decision to tell your time where to go instead of wondering where it went. Without structure, you become reactive. You respond to messages, notifications, requests, and random demands as they come. Your day becomes a series of interruptions instead of a sequence of purposeful actions. And at the end of it, you feel busy, but not fulfilled, active, but not effective. Distractions thrive in an unstructured environments. They feed on indecision and lack of clarity. When you do not have a defined plan, even small interruptions can derail your entire day. A quick scroll turns into wasted hours. A simple conversation turns into lost focus. Follow. The problem is not the presence of distractions. It is the absence of discipline. When your schedule is weak, distractions become powerful. To discipline your schedule, you must first value your time. You must see it as a limited resource that requires management. This means planning your day before it begins, assigning blocks of time to what matters most, and protecting those blocks with intention. And gentlemen, your priorities should not be left to chance. They should be built into your schedule. What matters must be scheduled. What matters must be scheduled, or it will be sacrificed. Discipline also requires consistency. It is not enough to create a schedule. You must honor it. This is where many people fail. They plan well, but execute poorly. They allow moods, feelings, and external pressures to override their structure. But discipline is the ability to follow through regardless of how you feel. It is the commitment to your plan, even when distractions invite you to abandon it. There is power in routine. When your day has a structure, your mind becomes more focused. Your energy becomes more efficient, and your productivity increases. You spend less time deciding what to do and more time actually doing it. Structure reduces confusion and creates momentum. It turns intention into action. You must also learn to defend your schedule. Not every request deserves your time. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. When you say yes to everything, you lose control of your day. Discipline means setting boundaries. It means protecting your time from unnecessary interruptions and being selective about what you allow into your schedule. At the same time, discipline does not mean you cannot adapt. Life will present unexpected situations, and flexibility is necessary. But flexibility should not become an excuse for disorder. Adjust when needed, but do not abandon your structure. Return to your plan as quickly as possible and maintain control over your time. When you discipline your schedule, you create an environment where focus can thrive. You reduce the influence of distractions and increase the impact of your efforts. You begin to live with intention instead of reaction, with purpose instead of randomness. If you do not control your time, everything else will. Invest time where it multiplies. Learning, growth, and skill. Not all time spent produces equal results. Some activities consume your hours and give nothing in return, while others take the same hours and multiply them into opportunities, value, and progress. The difference lies in where you choose to invest your time. Time is not just something you spend. It's something you invest. And like any investment, it either produces a return or it doesn't. When you invest time in learning, you are expanding your capacity. Knowledge is not just information. It is leverage. It allows you to think better, decide better, and act with greater precision. A single insight gained today can save you years of struggle tomorrow. That is the power of learning. It compresses time. It gives you access to experiences you have not personally lived and equips you with tools you did not naturally possess. Growth goes beyond learning. It is the process of transformation. It is where knowledge becomes character, where understanding becomes discipline, and where intention becomes action. Growth requires discomfort because it demands change. It forces you to confront your limitations and move beyond them. But every moment you invest in growth increases your ability to handle greater responsibility, solve bigger problems, and achieve higher levels of success. Skill is where your value becomes visible. It is not enough to know. You must be able to do. Skills are the tools that turn ideas into reality. They are what make you effective in the real world. And the more refined your skills become, the more valuable your time becomes. A skilled person can produce in 1 hour what an unskilled person cannot produce in a day. That is multiplication. That is the return on investment. Most people spend their time on things that do not multiply. They consume content without applying it. They engage in activities that entertain but do not develop. They stay busy with tasks that keep them occupied but do not increase their value. The result is stagnation. They work harder but not smarter. Longer but not better. To invest time where it multiplies. You must become intentional. You must ask yourself, what activities are adding value to your life, and which ones are simply taking space? Reading, studying, practicing, building, reflecting. These are activities that multiply. They may not always give immediate results, but over time, they compound. What you invest today begins to pay you back tomorrow, and eventually it pays you back at a level far greater than the initial cost. There is also a principle of compounding at work. Small, consistent investments in learning, growth, and skill do not remain small. They accumulate. They build upon each other. A skill learned today makes the next skill easier to acquire. Knowledge gained in one area enhances your understanding in another. Growth in one dimension strengthens your performance in others. Over time, the returns become exponential. This is why patience is required. Multiplication is not always immediate, but it is inevitable if you remain consistent. Many people quit too early because they do not see instant results. But the greatest returns come to those who stay committed long enough for their investments to mature. When you begin to invest your time wisely, your life changes. You become more capable, more confident, and more effective. Opportunities begin to open, not by chance, but by preparation. You are no longer just working. You are building. You are building. You are no longer just spending time. You are multiplying it. Because the value of your life will be determined not by how much time you had, but by what your time produced. Guard your mornings. They set the tone for your entire day. The way you begin your day is not a small decision. It is a defining one. Morning hours carry a unique power because they shape your mindset before the world begins to demand your attention. If you lose your morning, you spend the rest of the day trying to recover. But if you win your morning, you carry clarity, control, and momentum into everything that follows. The morning is a foundation. It is the space where you prepare your mind, align your priorities, and position yourself for effectiveness. Before the noise of responsibilities, messages, and obligations begins, you have a window of control. That window is where discipline is formed and direction is established. If you fill that time with distraction, you start your day reactive. If you fill it with intention, you start your day proactive. Many people wake up and immediately surrender their focus. They reach for their phones, scroll through content, respond to notifications, and allow external information to shape their internal state. By the time they begin their actual work, their mind is already scattered. Their energy is diluted and their attention is divided. They did not choose their day. Their day was chosen for them. Guarding your morning means protecting it from anything that does not serve your purpose. It means being intentional about what you allow into your mind and how you direct your energy. Your first thoughts matter.